Timeshare people, in this video I want to show you which is the best timeshare company to buy for you. Actually, since everybody's different, everybody's gonna have a different answer, of course. So it's like dieting, it's always something better. So a lot of people ask me what is the best timeshare company to own with. So Akira, the timeshare dog, and I are gonna attempt to answer the question. How is the best way to figure out? Well, we're on the road to Pennsylvania visiting grandma, so I'm gonna try to not get killed. It's apparently Pennsylvania, like Tennessee, they drive 5 million miles an hour too. Everybody's got open heart surgery going or something. So the first thing you want to do, you can Google obviously a list of all the timeshare companies, but you're big. I would stick with the major brands because their point systems are easy to use. So Wyndham's really versatile. Wyndham by Worldmark is versatile, and then they have like a club program now. Then there's fractionals. You know, I've been staying, I've been doing timeshares for probably the better part of 8 or 9 years. Been like really staying in them for probably like 12, 13 years now, okay? And I love them so much better in a hotel. so much better. But now we've been, since we moved across the country, been staying a lot of Airbnbs. So I actually, if you can afford it, I would do fractional residences. Would be even better because it'd be the best of timeshare and the best of Airbnb put together. But this video's on the best timeshare companies to own with. So, and plus you got that, fractionals are quite expensive, but they're definitely, if you have the money to do them, that's the way to go. But for timeshares, the best way to travel, the least expensive way to travel nicely, and because the biggest thing you save in timeshare is the money on food, having the kitchen and stuff. I don't know, maybe my family just eats a lot. It's myself, my wife, and 2 twin 9-year-olds, but every time we go out to dinner, it's like $150 to $200. And I mean, that seems pretty regular. I haven't really found anywhere, even if you order on Grubhub from a Mexican place for 4 people with chips and guacamole, it's like $130 as well. So food costs can be quite expensive, especially in vacation destinations. So the biggest benefit of having the condo, she's like, yeah, plus I get my treats there. There's only like 12 or 15 timeshares that accept dogs, and they're usually not at like the major brands. Sorry, she keeps twisting me up here. So first thing, figure out where you like to vacation or where you like to go. The biggest thing is where you want to go travel to, because that's going to determine the best company to own with. Also, you want to determine like how far in advance you can make reservations, because some companies are like virtually impossible to get reservations at unless you book more than 6 to 9 months out, unless you want to use the waiting list. The waiting list is a great way with all timeshare developers to get the rooms you want, because like even in my business, we rent out timeshares and we have a 20% cancellation rate. When people book, they cancel. So if you're on the waiting list, the computer does everything, and once that room becomes available, which there's probably a 70 to 90% chance it would, because every resort, and I think in timeshare I read that's like a 26%, obviously it changes from year to year, but roughly 20 something percent cancellation rate every night of the week. So people, if stuff comes up, I just had to cancel a whole trip to Las Vegas because grandma got sick. We're up here in Pennsylvania, so I'm walking aimlessly in the hills of Pennsylvania. Well, that was kind of my Tennessee accent. Got the accents mixed up. They don't really have that big of an accent out here in Pennsylvania. Let me get off the road before I die. So first thing, figure out where you want to go. Like if you're on the West Coast, probably Worldmark or Wyndham is probably your best bet. If you just want to stay like up in Washington and Oregon and Northern California, then Worldmark's going to be your best, shot. If you're like on the East Coast, Blue Green's really good out there. They got resorts in like Missouri and where else? I mean, they have just all over the East Coast, like New Jersey, I think. You'd have to go to their website, Blue Green. They probably have like 100 something properties now, maybe more. Oh, sorry, this dog, this does not. This. So East Coast would probably be blue-green. For to cover the whole, have like pretty much everything covered, then Wyndham would probably be your best bet. But if you can afford it, by far, Marriott is the best company to own. You can actually get reservations. They have the best resorts. They have the best system. They have the best exchange system. They bought Interval International now. So now they own Interval. Wyndham owns RCI. So, and you don't, just because they own them, it doesn't give you very much priority. But if you want like the least expensive way to get the nicest property, what you do is you buy like a Marriott timeshare the old way. As long as you can go for a week on vacation, buy a Marriott week the old way, not the Marriott destinations point. Buy a Marriott week online. Like people sell them online sometimes, because then you can trade into any other Marriott for just the exchange fee. No, there's no exchange fee if you trade Marriott to Marriott. So you can trade to any Marriott. There's a lot of bugs out here. You can trade to any Marriott with no exchange fee. And if you want to, and you could buy like a 1-bedroom, and you could always, scrap that. If you buy a deeded week the old way, always get a 2-bedroom lock-off at like Grande Vista or one of those places, because you could lock that 1-bedroom lock-off and trade for 2 weeks at any Marriott, and then you could trade for a 2-bedroom, and you would just pay like $100 or $200 upgrade fee, or get the Interval Platinum membership. It reduces those fees down. Plus you can buy getaway weeks super cheap. So timesharing is very varied, because you know, some people still have kids in school. Some people are retired and they can go in the off season. Some people, but let's say like the average timeshare owner I think now is 45. So let's say you're a 45-year-old father of 2 or 3 kids, and you like to go like 1 big trip a year and then maybe like 2 or 3 mini trips. Well, then you'd either want to buy Marriott, Hilton, or Wyndham. Those would be like your 3 best options. Now, Marriott's going to have the highest maintenance cost. Marriott's going to be like probably like $1,500 to $2,200 for a week's worth of maintenance cost. If you buy their strict destination points, you're going to be even maybe a little bit higher than that per week. Well, because it's such a varied thing that you there's a lot of bugs out here. Oh, look, they got random guys hunting. Oh shit, here's a dog. Let's see, hopefully it's a friendly dog. He's okay, she's not that friendly, but or, she's not that other dog friendly, but this is so the dogs are having a good time. So anyways, yeah, they're having a Mexican standoff, I guess. Here, stop. So, how you doing? Have a good day, sir. All right. So yeah, so definitely when you're purchasing, you want to find out the locations you want to go to. That's a big deal. So then you could go to their websites. I'm actually going to start a website where you can review all the different timeshare companies side by side, with the maintenance cost, with the upfront cost, with the secondhand cost, so you can see your different options. But that's not up and running yet as of November 2022, but it will be coming soon. I think that'd be easier for everybody, kind of like a nerd wallet for timeshares. Okay, so sit down with your family, and then you got to really plan out like how far in advance do you plan stuff, because one of the drawbacks of like Worldmark and Wyndham is it's hard to get last minute reservations, especially within like 90 days of check-in, and especially if you're trying to go when the kids are out of school. So you got to either know that going in. Now you can do it, and you can watch my other video on like how to use your timeshare, but essentially most of the time you'd have to use the waiting list. Like say you own with Worldmark and you live in Oregon and you like to go to California or the Oregon coast, and you want to go to like their Depot Bay property, yeah, well, good luck getting a reservation. But if you use their waiting list, say like, hey, we want to go 3 nights in, getting attacked by bugs, probably like killer spiders, probably gonna die. So like, say you want to go like 3 nights, and it's not available, get on their waiting list. And there's even tricks on the waiting, hopefully it's just flies. You can get on their waiting list for even like, there's even tricks around that. You can get on the waiting list 1 night at a time, and then because it's easier to get 1 night than all 3 nights together. So you could get on waiting lists for 3 nights at a time, or 1 night at a time, 3 different waiting lists. And then when you get those 3 nights, you just call in and have them combine the reservation into one, so you don't have to stay in 3 different size units. And that works like 90, I don't know, there's no exact percentage probably, but it's a high, you know, probably 90+% chance you'll get into the same room. And if there's a small risk you couldn't, then obviously you just cancel it. So there are little things like that to think of. I used to always tell people, book your trip out like a year out if possible, or 6 months out, because you can always cancel it. You know what I mean? The cancellation policies are usually pretty good with the points, down to like 60 to 45 days, down to 60 days before check-in. Usually there's no penalty. But obviously every company is different. They always change policies, so just be cognizant of that fact. But for the most part, just be aware, if you buy Wyndham or Worldmark, it is a lot harder to get reservations. If you buy Marriott, I mean, you're still going to have a little bit of problems. You're going to have a little bit of problems if you try to probably go in the peak season, like obviously like Newport Beach in the summer. You're not going to be able to book that on a 2 weeks notice with Marriott. Lake Tahoe, you know, during ski season, you know, some of those ones that are really popular, Aruba from January to March, stuff like that, you're still going to want to call ahead on those, or no, you're going to have to use the waiting list, or plan that ahead. When I first bought my timeshares, or really started using them, we would always try, you know, plan like 60 days or less in advance, and that kind of limited. It didn't really limit us because we like to go off season, so it's not a big deal for me because we don't like crowds or people. No, just joking. But you know, we don't want to. You know, I don't like crowds anyway, so we go. Plus, we homeschool and stuff, so we don't have the problem. Oh, your buddy back. Your timeshare buddy back. I guess. Yeah. Here. See, his dog listens to him. My dog does not listen. Okay. Sorry about that. This is the only way I can get these videos filmed. I was on my walk. So Marriott's the best. Okay. So yeah. So just, you know, be mindful of the reservation system. Oh, what I was gonna say is, book your trips like a year out. Even if you don't think you know where you're gonna quite go yet, it's always easier to get the room first and then get the airfare second, because airfare seems to be a lot easier to get than a timeshare reservation. So I would do that, like book it out 6 months to a year. It's so nice because then you have, let's get off the road of death here. That's always nice because you already have something to look forward to. If you have a reservation booked 6 months to a year out, you already know where you're going. You can already make plans in your schedule. You can already plan it with work or whatever. You can, it gives you something to look forward to. Half the best part of vacation is having something to look forward to. I used to remember when I worked, you know, I sold timeshares, which was like an easy job. Not an easy job. I mean, you just get to meet all kinds of cool people from all over the US, and, you know, but work, it's still not, you know, not doing anything. But anyways, it was nice to know you had a break coming up, something to look forward to. So when I started booking it out like a year in advance, I'd book like a trip a year out, and then I'd book one like 6 months out. And it was nice because we do like 3 months out, 6 months, and 12. So then we always kind of had something to look forward to kind of break up the year. Kind of gives you something to search for. When you just plan it at the last minute, especially with timeshare, you're gonna get frustrated because there's not a lot of stuff available at that last minute like that, and unless you want to do the waiting list thing, of course. And then you can do the waiting list like 1 to 3 nights, like I was saying. So that might work. So first thing, find out where you want to go in the country. Secondly, go to the top timeshare companies' websites, because ideally you'd like to stay in their system, because you know, Interval and RCI trading just 1 night, 2 nights at a time is a lot more difficult. So you're better off if they have resorts that you're willing to stay at, to just try to stay mainly inside their system. So go to, you know, Marriott Vacation Club, see where all their resorts are located, see if those are spots you'd like to go. And then go to Interval. If Marriott or Wyndham or Hilton has 60-70% of the places you want to go to, and sometimes you want to go out of that system, well, then you can watch my other videos on how to trade properly, is that you can trade to the other timeshare resorts, which, you know, there's, I don't know, probably 4,000 now, 2,000. No, I think there's like 2,000 something now you can trade to, but they're not like all going to be as high quality as like a Marriott or Westin or Hyatt or Hilton or one of the major brands. But there's 2,500 resorts. There's usually a resort somewhere you want to go to, and you can always trade it. And then just watch my other videos on how to trade properly. And if you trade right, you have a 97% success rate of getting what you want. So first thing to do, figure out where you think you want to travel to. Secondly, go look at the major developers, Blue Green if you're on the East Coast. Marriott's pretty much nationwide. Hilton's pretty much nationwide. Especially they just bought Diamond, so they have all those properties. But Diamond's like a tricky deal that they bought, because Diamond didn't like own all those resorts. They owned like 20 weeks at some of them. So it looks like they have 150 resorts, but maybe some of them they only own like 10 weeks, or I don't know, but they don't own like those whole properties for sure, because they used to belong to other companies. So oh, my little timeshare sidekick, she's really dragging up the hills of Pennsylvania. Sick day. I just need some treats, need a rest. Let's see what else. Okay, so go online, figure out which of the resorts you want to stay at, find the best company. Okay, now to look for the best deal, it's always the best deal if you can buy your timeshare online from somebody who's given it up. Now you can get good deals from like the developer itself, and it's still a good deal if you buy it from the developer. You know, there's ways you can find it lower cost online, like you can find somebody else that's selling it. There's like you can go to the timeshare users group, tug2.net, and they have a marketplace of people trying to sell their timeshares. Some of the major developers like Marriott, let's stay on this side, mama, so we don't get hit by crazy drivers. You can't find resales on them because they do a good job of protecting their prices. But like Wyndham you can find online for pretty cheap. So you can like just go to the timeshare users group marketplace and you can find them for sale, and then you can buy them from an owner at a decent price and pretty much still get all the same benefits. There are some things you might miss out on, but it's probably not worth the extra cost. And then you can buy it from the developer even at a better price than they say. Sometimes they have ways around that. Sometimes they give you enough gifts to kind of offset the cost. Like maybe they'll give you like a free trip to Hawaii or a free cruise or whatever. That kind of lowers your net cost down. So, you know, look into it if you can. Secondary market usually is always cheaper, but like I have a buddy that works at Marriott, and he has a way where he could get you like 20 to 40% off of their retail price buying it directly from them. So if you ever need that contact information, just message the team through the comments here and they'll get a response from me, and I'll tell you where to go, because obviously the name of the person might change or what the deal is, so we'll keep an eye on that. But as of now, they still have ways you can do that. And then I have a timeshare resale broker that we deal with that can get you good deals on major timeshare brands as well. But the point is timeshare is going to be your cheapest way to travel, because especially with inflation right now, 8%. I mean, hotel rooms are super expensive. And, you know, I'm staying at these Airbnbs and they're great. I love them. I actually love them more than the hotels, mainly because we can take the dog. You know, God forbid my wife lets a dog sitter watch her. Honey, if you're watching, totally didn't mean that. I love bringing our little princess and spending inordinate amount of money to make sure she's comfy. But these Airbnbs, they were all like $300 a night. And then even when we were staying in hotels on the way, like we stayed at a Marriott Residence Inn, with tax, those are like $300 a night too. So you go to a resort destination area like Hawaii or wherever, some of these places, and where you really get your money out of timeshare, staying at these nicer resorts like Marriott Newport Beach or Marriott in Aruba, or the Grand Lux in Mexico, where you have your own swimming pool on the deck. That's what really makes it good. It makes it such a better vacation if you have a big room with a kitchen, and whoever you're traveling with has their own space and their own TV. And I couldn't imagine trying to stay in a hotel with my 2 kids for a week. That would be like a nightmare, because I love my kids and we homeschool them. I'm home with them every day, but you know, you have your own spaces, you know, so like I can get work done. That's why I had to go to this, doing my videos while I'm walking the dog, because that's seems to be the only way I can get them done. So you need your own space. So staying in timeshare is a way better deal. The money you save on food is where the real savings is. Because think if you try to go out 3 times a day to eat in Hawaii, you know, you're going to spend $500 a day on food. So over the course of a week, you're spending $2,000 or $3,000 on top of food. Plus, maybe you eat less than us, or maybe. But if you have the timeshare, go to Costco, go to the grocery store, get $300 or $400 in groceries. That covers you most of your week. Go out to dinner, you know, a couple times, or lunch, or whatever, or breakfast, or, you know, that's kind of how we usually do it. We'll eat out like 1 meal every other day or something. So that's where you get the real savings of the timeshare. So timeshare rooms are way better. I always stay in 2 bedrooms, especially if you're traveling with somebody. If you get that Marriott locked off week online, you can lock it off, trade 2 weeks a year out of that 1 week. So say that maintenance fee is $1,500, for example's sake. Come on, princess. Trade 2 weeks out of that 1 week. So now you're only paying $750 a week in maintenance per week. Trade that. Say you traded 1 week to the Marriott Newport Beach. If you go to Marriott.com to stay at Newport Beach, you're going to pay anywhere from $400 to probably $1,000 per night. Plus California, so you got tax, tourist tax, whatever 10,000 taxes they have. Oh, sorry. I figure out how to work this system where she crosses back and forth. Okay, so you got that. We say it was $500 a night to stay there. $3,500 plus tax, $4,000. You now got a $4,000 week out of your 1 week that you only paid basically $100 per night for in maintenance. Then you take the other week that you got and you trade that to the Grand Lux in Cancun or Lake Tahoe, or say you did the Grand Lux in Mexico. That place rents for like $1,000 to $2,000 a night. Now you got an $8,000 week. So your 1 timeshare week, your 1 Marriott 2 bedroom you bought that you locked off, you got 2 weeks for, 1 at a week that would normally cost you, say it didn't even cost that much. Say it cost $4,000 or $5,000, not $8,000 for a week. You just got to do her business. So you got a $5,000 week plus a Marriott Newport week, which is $4,000. You got $9,000 worth of weeks out of your 2 weeks, which is $1,500 in maintenance. So plus the money you saved on food, it's basically free. I mean, not really, but that's what I'm saying. Whatever, do whatever you want, but that's my opinions on which timeshare companies to buy. My number 1 recommendation is Marriott. My number 2 recommendation would be Wyndham's good. You know, a cheap way to get into the nicer ones too is Worldmark, because Worldmark has unsurpassed trading ability as well. So you could take 10,000 Worldmark points, which is like $800 in maintenance, and trade that to any Marriott. So if you want my little hack on to get to the nicer resorts like Westin, and Worldmark has dual exchange ability. You can exchange it with both RCI and Interval International. So you could trade to all the Disney resorts, all the Marriott resorts, all the Westin resorts, all the Hyatt resorts. So if you want my champagne taste on a beer budget kind of hack, then I would buy a Worldmark. I would buy it on the secondary market from like the timeshareangels.com. But that company, I don't know, I just tried to email them to rent points from them. It took them a month to get back to me, but I think they still do sell them, and they're legitimate, and they handle all the paperwork, and basically you're buying it for about half price. Now that would be a good deal. You buy a half price Worldmark, like 20,000 points. You could trade to probably your maintenance probably be like 1,500 to 1,800 bucks. You could use all the Worldmark resorts, most of the Wyndham. I think you can use all the Wyndham resorts. I guess it depends on how you, not all of them, but some of them. So you get access to all the Wyndham, and then you could trade to Disney, Hilton, Marriott, Westin, Hyatt. Boom, there you go. Just saved you $10 billion. Not really, but okay. All right, sweet. Thank you guys. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Akira, she's like, yeah, I don't mind the timeshares. They're pretty good. They don't allow dogs, so I don't like them that much, but still. Dad seems to like them when he goes. Wow, you were not participating for the camera. Okay, all right. I'll get a different camera where it rotates. Okay, all right. Peace out. Love you guys. Take care.